What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Observant Lineman. I'm your Observant Lineman, Uche Nwaneri. News is coming in hot and heavy today, and we have breaking news out of Carolina. Ron Rivera has been fired from his position as the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. He has been replaced by Perry Fewell, who is now the interim head coach. And, I'm not sure that this is all that surprising based on what has been happening in Carolina over the past few seasons. There has been a lot of influx and there has been a lot of mediocrity coming out of Carolina since they made that great Super Bowl run with Cam Newton winning his MVP award back in 2015, 2016. I think his clock just kind of expired. At this point, it has been a number of years and he has not produced anything of note in terms of returning to the postseason or playing as a contender, especially with the talent that this team had. They lost a number of key pieces, the latest being their quarterback and franchise quarterback, Cam Newton, to a foot injury, to a Liz Frank injury, but more so losing him in spirit as well, as he has played at a subpar level since that MVP season. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through this article fairly quickly. Then I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts and relate a story in a situation that I went through as well in Jacksonville when we lost our head coach, Jack Del Rio. I think that was going into my 5th season. But let's go through this article real quick, and then I'll get into that story at the end of this video. It says, and this is off of Bleacher Report, the Carolina Panthers announced the firing of longtime head coach Ron Rivera on Tuesday following a 29-21 defeat to the Washington Redskins. I mean, that happens. I believe this is the best decision for the long-term success of our team, owner David Tepper said. I have a great deal of respect for Ron and the contributions he has made to the franchise and to this community. I wish him the best. I will immediately begin the search for the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Secondary coach Perry Fewell will resume Rivera's duties on an interim basis until a permanent replacement is found. Rivera was hired by the Panthers in January 2011. He finishes his 8+ seasons as coach with a 76-63-1 record in the regular season and a 3-4 mark in the playoffs. He led the team to Super Bowl 50, where it lost to the Denver Broncos, and was named the Associated Press National Football League Coach of the Year in 2013 and 2015. Last December, the 57-year-old California native discussed the need to bounce back this year following a disappointing 7-9 season in 2018 after winning 11 games in 2017. We will focus on moving forward, Rivera told reporters. We have to grow, we have to adapt, we have to learn. And if you don't, the truth of the matter is you become extinct. And I think that is a very accurate statement from Ron Rivera as the head coach or former head coach of the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers overcame the loss of quarterback Cam Newton to reach 4-2 with backup Kyle Allen, but their 2019 season fell apart during the second half of the campaign, low-lighted by their current 4-game losing streak. Now the franchise has opted to go in a new direction. Meanwhile, it might not take long for Rivera to generate interest from elsewhere with his strong track record in Carolina and 14 years of experience as an assistant, including 3 seasons a piece as defensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears and San Diego Chargers. So that's the article. Ron Rivera has been fired as the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. And again, like I said earlier, I don't necessarily find this all that surprising based on how their season has played out, based on their lack of overall success as contenders since they made it to the Super Bowl back in 2015. I went through a situation just like this. So to give you my perspective of how the players are probably dealing with this, it is a shock to your system as a player when your head coach gets fired. Nobody wants to see somebody lose their job. Nobody wants to see somebody who has worked as hard as Ron Rivera has worked, because you can't be a head coach in this league. You can't be a player in this league. You can't be an assistant in this league without working your ass off, day in and day out. And nobody wants to see somebody's livelihood be, terminated in that regard when it comes to not necessarily being able to live up to the expectations that are put on you. I remember when Jack Del Rio was fired in Jacksonville. That was a bit of a shock to everybody on the team, even though we knew going into that season that it was kind of a do or die season for Jack, because we had been on since our 2007 playoff run. We followed that season up, which was a 10-6 season. We followed that up with a 5-11 season, and then we followed that season up with a 7-9 season, and then we followed that season up with a 7-9 season, and in the I believe it was in the last 2 or 3 years, his last 2 or 3 years in Jacksonville, we lost the final game of the season, which would have given us, the opportunity to go into the playoffs by winning those final games. Winning that final game, actually. But it's kind of like it's a solemn day. I'm sure it was a very solemn day. Obviously it's Tuesday, so the players are off. So they did this on the day where they wouldn't have to have the players in there. But when I was with the Jaguars and Jack Del Rio was fired, that happened on a Wednesday, and Mel Tucker was named the interim coach, and it was a day that was full of different, emotions. It was kind of a solemn day. It was a very quiet afternoon at the facility, even though we all knew we still had to prepare for a game and get ready to play a game. I believe it was going to be a Monday night game against the Ravens, if I'm not mistaken. We knew that we had to get ready, but still didn't change the fact that, a head coach that drafted, everyone in the room, for the most part, was now being fired and was now without a job and was now without livelihood. We made sure that we all went up to Jack, shook his hand to let him know that we appreciated him, let him know that we had, nothing but respect for him. He actually came into the team meeting room, and this is going into our team meeting to start the day. He came into the team meeting room, said a few words, showed us his gratitude and let us know it was an honor. Let us know it was an honor for him to be the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars and to be able to know us as men. And it was a very respectful, very heartfelt, very gripping moment, because you have respect for this guy, regardless of what you think about him and his coaching style, regardless of what you think about, how he operates as a coach. This is a guy who has, put it out there on the line for us as much as we have for him. He drafted a lot of us to the team, and he had the fortitude to come down after being told that he would no longer have a job, to walk down that long hallway, that long, lonely hallway, down to the team meeting room, stand in front of a group of men and let us know what the situation was. Thank us for being players for him. Thank everybody in the room for being a part of the organization. And we really felt that, and we really respected that. So I'm sure the same kind of thing is probably going on in Carolina. Because this, again, is a guy that you have bought into his program. You've bought into the culture that he's set there as the head coach. And you are now having to, kind of move into the unknown, because you don't know what kind of coach you're going to get. You don't know if that coach is going to just, clean house, because as with most situations where new head coaches come in, generally a general manager will be coming in with him as well. And they're going to want to have guys in there that they draft. So how long is that room going to have the same individuals in it, once this new head coach is hired and is brought into the program? So, there's going to be a lot of questions that are going to be on players' minds over the next 6 to 8 months, because, you're going to have to go through that entire process of reproving the value that you have for the franchise, because now it's a clean slate, and they're not going to necessarily look at somebody like a Cam Newton and say, yeah, we're keeping him. You know, they're going to want to get their own quarterback. They're going to want to get their own offensive line. They're going to want to get all of their own players in there to fit the style of coaching and the style of play that they're looking to build in a new era of that new head coach. So there are a lot of things that are going to change in Carolina. And, you know, players are definitely going to have to, reset the way that they think about their position on the team, because it may not be that same position, or you may not even be on the team in 6 to 8 months time. So a very fluid situation in Carolina, obviously, as they go through their head coaching search or their head coach search. I'll keep you up to date on what I find out, but definitely let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. Hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the Observant Lineman, Uche Nwaneri, and check out my Patreon at patreon.com/The Observant Lineman. Breaking news: Ron Rivera fired as the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Appreciate you guys checking this out. I will catch you on the next video. Peace.